What Russia does have enough troops to do is to destroy the Ukrainian military, which is what they're doing right now. And through destroying the Ukrainian military, seek the political collapse of Ukraine. And this is where I think they're heading. I think Russia, and Jeff, I'm writing an article on this that hopefully will be published by Friday for our Substack, but it's about Odessa. I don't believe Russia can terminate this conflict without securing Odessa or the Black Sea coast and cutting Ukraine off, because Ukraine has, together with the collective West, has used Odessa and the Black Sea presence to threaten Crimea and Sevastopol. And strategically, Russia can never allow that to happen. So having exposed themselves the way they have in terms of their long-term intent, Russia needs to eliminate that problem. So I believe that this conflict won't end until Russia takes Odessa, links up with Transnistria, and in doing so, that creates a need to take Mykolaiv, Dnipropetrovsk, Kharkov. So physically, Ukraine's going to lose a lot of territory. What happens after that, I think, is the elimination of the Ukrainian government as it currently exists, replacing it with a pro-Russian government, perhaps handpicked by Russia, who will rewrite the constitution and undertake the reforms necessary for Russia to allow Ukraine to reemerge as a viable, independent, sovereign state. But I do believe there's going to be a period of 3 to 5 years of de facto occupation, where Russia may not physically occupy Ukraine, but they will control the government, and the government will do Russia's bidding in terms of controlling borders, etc. I think that's probably, that hurt. That's probably the most likely outcome. I didn't want to say.
Okay. All right, let's try to stop. Oh, I just got the
Jeff,
the double whip that comes at the end. It hurts me. Believe me, Scott, it hurts me more than it hurts you.
Sure thing, heavy flavor. Sure thing.
All right, you know what? I'm going to go back to my original rap name, DJ Jazzy Jeff. Forget heavy flavor. That's my way of supporting you, Scott. Exmo from Portales, New Mexico. What secret was Israel protecting when it attacked the USS Liberty in 1967?
That's open to a lot of speculation, and until the National Security Agency declassifies the various intercepts that were being carried, because the USS Liberty was an intelligence gathering ship. And one of the feelings or interpretations of what happened is that Israel was concerned that they were collecting, for instance, evidence of the massacre of Egyptian prisoners of war, which was ongoing at the time, or other Israeli intent, etc., that Israel was telling one thing to the United States but preparing to do another, and to protect the integrity of what they intended to do, they needed to take the USS Liberty out. But it doesn't matter. What I agree, man. I'm kind of given the fact that I'm reading the comments, but I agree, Megan. They will never declassify this. But the point is, Israel attacked an American ship, and they knew they were attacking an American ship first. So for all you out there that talk about what a great friend Israel is, stick it where the sun don't shine. Israelis work for Israel. They will never work for the United States. They will never support the United States. They'll always place Israeli interests over American interests. So imagine if you're an American citizen who is Jewish and you say, I'm going to do Aliyah, go and serve for 2.5, 3 years in the Israeli Defense Force. You're betraying America, because you're fighting for a nation that's not America. Not only that, a nation that has actually attacked America in living history. The attack on the USS Liberty is one of the great crimes of all time, and Israel has yet to pay a price for it.
All right, Scott, should we take a phone call live? What do you say? You up for that?
Let's risk it.
All right, let's rock. Let's roll. You're on with our favorite weapons inspector. What is your question?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Feroz. I'm calling from Chicago. I think with the whip, Jeff, you did a double tap, so it's pretty cool. My question for Scott is, seems like there's reports that Israel's taking heavy casualties in the Gaza operation. I saw a video today where Hamas fighters were literally crouching up from holes next to their tents, where it seems like there's dozens of Israeli soldiers just chilling. Do you think there's a point where Israel will say we're taking too many casualties and stop the ground operation? And then the second question is, now that Israel is bombing the southern part of Gaza, is there a plan to push the Palestinians out to the Sinai? And if Egypt doesn't let that happen, does that mean the IDF will bomb Egypt to force them to open Rafah gates? Thank you.
Thank you. Although I don't recall saying he was entitled to 2 questions, but whatever.
But there were
3
2
minutes.
good questions, but 3 minutes. So it's 1.5 minutes per question. I'm under pressure. We know, for instance, in the case in the Northern Front, that Israel suppressed casualty figures there. There's evidence to sustain that. It's suspected in Gaza that Israel's suppressing casualty figures there as well, to hide the fact, but I don't have direct evidence of that. What we do know is that Israel is being fought to a standstill by Hamas, and that, Hamas lured them into this anthill that now is covered by rubble, and their fighters would be popping up from tunnels and taking shots at the Israelis, and it'll be death by 1,000 cuts. Israel cannot sustain this level of fighting, and eventually the Israeli army will have no choice but to retreat, because they're not winning. They're not destroying Hamas. They are trying to depopulate Gaza, though, and we do see a concerted effort for Israel to push the Palestinians out of Gaza. Right now, we see a tent city being formed just on the Gazan side of the Rafah crossing, and there's speculation that Israel's trying to pressure Egypt to open the border. Egypt will never open the borders, and the last thing Israel wants to do is bomb Egypt, because Egypt's got a very large, very powerful military, and they just knock the living crap out of Israel. If Egypt put 2 armored divisions online, they would take Dimona, that's the Israeli nuclear facility, Beersheba, and there's nothing the Israelis can do to stop, because they're fully committed to Gaza, and they're fully committed to Hezbollah, and they have significant forces tied down in the West Bank. So Israel will never attack Egypt. That would be suicide for Israel to do that. Israel's lost this war, and it's just going to take a while for Israel to realize that. But war is an extension of politics by other means. They've already lost politically, because the entire world has rallied behind the Palestinian cause. That wasn't happening on October 6th. That's happening now because of what Hamas did on October 7th.
All right. The next question comes from Frank in Hampstead, London. What do you make of accusations that Russians are unlawfully killing surrendering Ukrainian troops? See attachment. And by the way, folks, when you do submit your questions in advance, you can add a video or an image if you'd like us to include that, which I will in a moment. They do not seem to recall all the occasions the Ukrainians have done far worse.
Well, I mean, if you saw the, I don't know. I haven't seen the video, but it looks like there's Russian troops there, and there's a guy with a Ukrainian flag over his head coming out, and I bet you they shoot him. So who knows?
I'm sorry, Scott. That was leftover. Go ahead. Let's start.
That hurt. I wasn't even braced for that one.
Sorry.
But the reality is Russia has a program to encourage Ukrainian troops to surrender. It's a strategic program, and they publish a frequency for Ukrainians to call in on their handheld radios to coordinate this. Why would you make that your official policy and then do something stupid like shoot an unarmed Ukrainian prisoner where there's a video? That undermines everything. So I'm not going to say that there is an example where a Russian soldier held his dying buddy the night before and promised him that he would kill every Ukrainian he met, and then next day he's taking the Ukrainian soldier who's surrendering from the unit that killed him, and he shot him. I'm not saying that didn't happen. I don't have any evidence that it did happen, but that's not Russian policy. Russian policy is the exact opposite, and there are many Ukrainians alive today because the Russians have pulled their wounded bodies from the battlefield, given the medical treatment, and are taking there. Russia is not a nation that condones war crimes, and I believe that any Russian soldier who has a documented case of shooting an unarmed prisoner will be held accountable to Russian law because of that.
Okay. We have another voicemail message. This is from a gentleman, and I stress gentle, named Lance.
Hello, Scott. My name is Lance from Canada. I purchased your coin. I'm looking forward to receiving it, and I do enjoy all of the work you do, for sure. I mean, you put a lot of energy into it. But I have 2 questions for you, and I'll be as concise as I can.
Too late for that, Lance.
One, you say it's a disgrace to put on the military uniform of another country. But if your country approves of that country and their policies and what they're doing, and maybe even approves of you joining their military, i.e. an American soldier joining the IDF, an American soldier joining the Ukraine. Isn't it okay then because your country is happy with you doing that? And my second question is, all of this money we're spending to subjugate or make client states out of key nations like Venezuela, Iraq, Libya, Lebanon, and whatnot, these vastly resource-rich nations that we want to turn into client states, would it be less violent to just annex them and make them United States? That seems like there might be some acceptance of that, as these people might be tired of, what they've been living under. Anyway, thank you for all you do.
Enough said.
Now we know what passes for concise on Planet Lance.
Well, that's okay. Lance is a gentleman and gentle, and we are going to respect that.
Right.
The second part first. America just doesn't go around annexing territories like that. First of all, let's just talk about the political reality of the United States. We have an evenly divided Senate. So where is the annexed Venezuelan state going to go politically? Because I can guarantee you, if they're going to say, well, we're going to support the Republicans, no Democrats are going to allow that to happen. So no, we don't do it. It isn't going to happen. It's far more, we'd be dealing with insurgencies, trying to annex a nation that doesn't want to be American. Nobody's lining up to be American anymore. We got refugees coming in, but no states are saying, hey, we want to join that failing economy, that failing social system. We'd like to become the new San Francisco. No, it isn't. So I don't think that that's the easiest. The easiest thing to do is what we've always done, is to politically coerce governments into implementing policies that benefit the United States economically and geopolitically. Now, to the first part of your question, Jeff, quick reminder.
Oh, I must confess, I don't remember.
Wait, it's on the top of my head, but
I just remember he said he was being concise, and that threw me off.
Oh, uniforms. Right. Let me answer it this way. The United States has always allowed, in recent time, American Jews to go and serve in the Israeli Defense Force. I've told the story before, but I'll tell it again. I had a roommate in college who had just finished his time in the Israeli Defense Force, but he called himself a proud American Jew. And in 1982, when I was in the Marine Corps commissioning program, I confronted him on that, because in September of 1982, there was a standoff between a Marine captain and 3 Israeli tanks, where the Marine captain pulled out a pistol and threatened to blow the head off of the Israeli officer if he tried to move the tanks through Marine lines. What would have happened? I asked him, because he was a Merkava tank driver. I said, what would have happened if you shot that Marine? You're a proud American. Now you just shot an American Marine. You're a murdering son of a bitch. You can never be an American when you wear the uniform of another nation, because there will always be the potential that you'll be called upon to do something that puts an American's life at risk. So no, I will never accept, even though legally speaking, we tolerate this, I will never accept the legitimacy of anybody wearing a uniform, if you call yourself an American, a uniform that isn't that of the United States. Otherwise, you serve another power. You don't serve America.
Excellent, Scott. You actually got that in 3 minutes. Very impressive. Hytham from the Sultanate of Oman. What was your reaction after seeing the footage of Israeli hostages hugging, smiling, and waving goodbyes to Hamas fighters before being released to the Red Cross? What was the American people's reaction after comparing it with the footage of Palestinians coming out of Israeli prisons?
Well, I mean, obviously there's a huge distinction between the two. And I'm somebody who, because Hamas is a fundamentalist Islamic entity, I respect them when they say we don't torture, rape,